Hi guys, today I'm going to show you how to make this cute chunky knit blanket by hand. And we're going to start off with this yarn. Just came from Walmart. It's just their chunky knit brand. We'll link it down below. And I have red and gray because this is what my son chose. And to start off, we're just going to make a simple slip knot. You just take your working yarn and cross it over the end of your yarn and pull up a new loop of your working yarn. And then to tighten down your slip knot, you're just going to pull on the loose end, and then to adjust your slip knot, you're going to pull on your working yarn. And I'm just going to make sure that my loop is about 2 inches thick. The next thing that we're going to do is just start pulling up new 2-inch loops, and just kind of check it, and we just keep pulling it up. And for this blanket, I'm going to do about 30 across, and we just keep pulling up loops. Make sure you have plenty of yarn out. We're just going to pull up loops, and it's going to make this really nice braid look that I'm going to show you in just a second. Okay, now we're nearing the end of our 30 chains. And so what we're going to do is we're going to pull up a new loop, and we're just going to adjust it to where it looks like it's sticking up at the top. And that's going to make our start of our second working row. And now what we're going to do is we're just going to slip our fingers in between the braid that we just made, that top loop, and we're just going to pull our working yarn through, and that's going to give us our second row. So we just need to adjust the loops, make sure they're about the same height, and we're going to stick our fingers through and pull up another loop. Again, checking to see that they're about the same height. And this gets easier as you go. It's harder right now while you've started to kind of get them to lay down and stay straight, and you just keep going. We're just going to continue through to make our second row here. Okay, we're nearing the end of our second row, and we're just going to continue to do the same thing. Just continue to pull up loops. And when you get to that last chain, you're going to pull up a loop. And then just like we did the last time, we're going to pull up another loop in that same loop that we just did, and move the yarn to start it going back in the opposite direction to start our third row. Okay, we're nearing the end of our row, and as you can see, we are also nearing the end of our working yarn. So I'm going to show you how to connect our new skein of yarn, and we're going to switch colors, so we ended perfectly in order to be able to do that. If you want a nice clear definition between your colors, all you're going to do is take your tails and you're just going to tie them together. And I like to tie a knot, and then you pull gently on both the loose ends and then on the connected ends until you think your knot's good and tight, but try not to pull too hard because you can break the chunky knit yarn. And then I just clip my ends really close to the knot, very carefully not to cut my working yarn. And then as we pull it up, our new loop up in this last loop right here, I'm going to show you. All you have to do is kind of tuck it back behind and just pull up you a new loop, and then all of a sudden you have started a new color. So again, we're going to pull up another loop and have it facing upwards, so it's going to start our new row for our new color. All right, and as you can see again, we're nearing the end of this skein of yarn. And so we're just going to do exactly the same thing that we did. And since I'm using red again, I'm just going to tie the ends together just like we did before. And then we're going to cut the loose ends. And again, be careful not to cut your working yarn. And you're just going to continue on by pulling up a new loop and doing exactly what we did before, just tucking that knot towards the back. Okay, I've finished with all 3 skeins of my red yarn, and so now we're going to go back to gray. Ideally, you would like to attach this new color at the end of the row like we had previously, but since this blanket is for my son, he really doesn't care where his color starts and stops, and I just really didn't want to waste the yarn. So I'm going to go ahead and tie on our new color right here just like we have been, pull the knot very tightly, and then just cut off the extra pieces of our chunky knit yarn. And then we're just going to continue on pulling up loops like we had been, and the gray will just kind of be in the middle of the red at this point. Okay, at this point we are finishing up our last row. We want to make sure that we have plenty of yarn left. So what we're going to do is we're going to pull up a loop. We're going to make sure this loop is slightly bigger than the other loops that we've done. And we're going to go ahead and pull up another loop and make sure it's slightly bigger. And then we're going to take that loop and pull it through our first loop. And then we're going to make another loop in the next set. And we're just going to pull that loop through our top loop there. And we're going to keep doing this all the way across, and it's going to give us a very nice braided look on the top of our blanket. So pull up a new loop and then pull that new loop through the one that's already on top. And we're just going to keep doing this until we get to the very end of our blanket. All right, so we're at the end of our blanket now, and we're pulling those loops through, and we're coming up on our next to last loop. So we're going to pull up a loop through. We're going to put those loops together, and we're just going to take our working yarn and we're going to pull it through both loops. And then we're just going to tie it off at the end, just kind of like you would a shoelace. And it's going to stay nice and folded over and look like a really pretty braid right there at the end. Just pull nice and tight. And then with our extra yarn, we're not going to cut this off. We're just going to weave it through down the side of our blanket. That way it won't be seen and it won't come out. And I've made my other two children these blankets, and they've been on car trips and they've been wooled to pieces, and I've never had a problem with anything coming undone or anything like that. And now we're going to flip our blanket over to the very beginning where we had that loose tail down here at the bottom. And since it's already in good shape, we're just going to take it and start weaving it through and up the side of the blanket.